This program may and will contain adult language. Parental discretion is advised. Hello again, everyone. It's Dwayne. It's Sunday. That's why they call it Sundays with Dwayne. Go figure. This has been a topsy turvy week this week. We've had a panic stricken Wall Street, you know. We had a county clerk here in Kentucky that got arrested because of her religious beliefs. And then you have the usual brouhaha surrounding Donald Trump signing a pledge that he wouldn't run as a independent, a third party candidate. All right, let's talk about that first. Reince Priebus, the head of the GOP, he kind of sort of forced the Donald into signing this pact, this pledge, if you will, that he's not going to run third party. Trust me, if Donald Trump wants to run third party, he will find a way around that piece of paper. I mean, it's not something that the GOP can legally do, I do not believe. I mean, it kind of would make Deflategate seem legitimate, I think, at this point. There's a weird analogy there. Don't ask me to go there. I don't think Trump would have any reservations to push in a court of law because he's good at litigation, okay? That that pledge means nothing. It's a piece of paper that has no, well, really nothing to back it up. You can't force somebody to do something against their will. Well, yeah, nowadays you pretty much can, but I think the Donald can get around that. And he could tell Reince Priebus what to do with that piece of paper, as in using it as toilet paper, because that's about all it would be worth. All right, speaking of Deflategate, as we were a second ago, Tom Brady won his case. Judge found in his favor, essentially, because he said that the NFL couldn't do what they did to Tom Brady without giving him basically a heads up that, oh, yeah, you're going to get suspended if we go through this. They didn't do that. So he looks like it's going to be he's going to start for the Patriots now instead of sitting out for 4 games. I'm sure the NFL is going to appeal it. They'll keep this in litigation for a long time. Tom Brady will come out a winner, I believe, on all of it, regardless.
Who the hell cares?
That's right. All right, let's get to the meat and potatoes here. The Rowan County court clerk. Her name is Kim Davis. Now, she went to jail for contempt because she refused to issue marriage license to gay couples that wanted to get married. We all know now that that is the law of the land. But here's my take on this, okay? I may be wrong, but hear me out. This woman goes to jail because of her religious beliefs, right? Now, while that's a noble thing, let's talk about the woman herself. This woman has been married 3 times. In her first marriage, she cheated on her husband with future husband number 3, where she had 2 children by that adulterous affair. She winds up divorcing husband number one and marrying husband number two, who then adopts the two kids. And then she divorces him and marries hubby number three, the father of the children. And then after a time, she divorces him and remarries husband number two. And she's supposed to be a moral compass? I mean, that sounds more like a bad soap opera plot to me. If you can't practice what you preach, don't preach it, is what I'm trying to say here. Now, her lawyers are trying to make her out to be a modern Dr. Martin Luther King. Unfortunately, she's anything but Dr. King. Martin Luther King fought for equal rights for black Americans, whereas this woman is wanting to deny those rights to gay Americans. Okay? And she's claiming that her religious beliefs are being trampled upon, but yet she's willing to trample upon the beliefs of those people who are wanting to get married. You can't have it both ways. Now, Donald Trump says that she deserves to be in jail because it is the law of the land and she is actually breaking the law by not issuing these marriage licenses. But then you have Rand Paul and you've got Mike Huckabee who's out there saying that her religious beliefs are being trampled upon. The sad fact is they're all right. So how do you fix that? How do you make it work? How do you fix a system that is trampling on the rights of those that wish to get married and at the same time trampling on the religious beliefs of someone who does not wish to have her name associated with the gay marriages? Because that's essentially what it's all about. She wants her name taken off the marriage license for gay people. She does not want to sanction it because it goes against her religious convictions. Now, last week, I pretty much made it simple. Mark 12:17. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, render unto God what is God's. Now, of course, that was about taxes back then, but I think it can apply here still. You can work for the government and still have your religious beliefs, but when you are on the clock, you render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. And then when you're off the clock, you render unto God what is God's. It's kind of like the Muslim flight attendant. Did you hear about this? She refused to serve alcohol on a Southwest flight because it's against her religion. But she took the job knowing that people drink on these flights and you have to do what? Serve them. And she's all up in arms because Southwest suspended her for 12 months and they'll probably terminate her. What's going against my religious convictions? Here's the difference. When Kim Davis became county clerk, gay marriage wasn't the law. In fact, it was against the law. Whereas this Muslim woman took a job with an airline that serves alcohol to its patrons, and she knew damn well that she would be asked to do it, and she accepted the job. So, Kim Davis actually has a better case than the Muslim woman. Both of them have their religious convictions at play here, but one accepted the fact that she would have to serve alcohol against her religion and then she balks, whereas the other one, at the time she became county clerk, gay marriage was illegal and now they've made it legal and it goes against her religious convictions to issue those license with her name attached to them. Now, part of my beliefs here, if you cannot do the job, you don't need to have the job. And in Kim Davis's case, you either face jail time for contempt of court or you issue the license with your name attached, or you just simply resign your position. To me, that's how you deal with it. Or you could do something else. You could do something else entirely. Take the marriage license out of the hands of the court clerks. Put them online. A computer does not have religious conviction to keep it from issuing a marriage license. Of course, we have Obamacare that's on a website. We see how well that worked. But like here in Kentucky, you go to forms.ky.gov. And on the forms list, you have marriage license. You push the button on the mouse on marriage license, and it comes up. You fill in the information and you hit send. Boom. It issues you a marriage license, and you can print it out on your damn printer. And nobody has to touch it. Nobody's name has to be attached to it other than the state name. It takes care of the problem, and everybody's happy. Problem solved. There again, it opens up a new can of worms if the computers start taking over and the Terminators come out. But that's, oh, any. I just had to go there, didn't I? Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
This portion of our program is brought to you by the following sponsor. This program has been brought to you by Dingleberry Wine. It comes in 3 great flavors: cherry, blueberry, and chocolate fudge. When you think wine, think Dingleberry Wine. It's the wine of the non-discriminatory drinker, and at a price that any wino can afford. Squeezed from only the freshest dingleberries picked daily from our factory in Buzzard Bait, Kentucky. Remember, if it ain't Dingleberry Wine, it ain't shit. Dingleberry Wine Incorporated, Buzzard Bait, Kentucky. This is a disclaimer. The consumption of Dingleberry wine has been proven to make one drunk after 3 or 4 bottles. Also, the aftertaste of Dingleberry wine has been compared to that of a diseased yak's ass. Dingleberry wine contains one or more of the following: aspartame, sodium vibrafoam, benzenate, corpsidia, something that I cannot pronounce, small undigested pieces of meat, wads of used toilet paper, corn chunks, and artificial coloring and flavoring. The consumption of Dingleberry wine can be hazardous to your health. The following can and will occur: blurred vision, erratic behavior, memory loss, hallucinations, projectile vomiting, explosive diarrhea, loss of motor functions, convulsions, complete and sudden death, blood in the stool, on the couch, and in the recliner, along with a trail wherever you've walked, and hairy tongue syndrome. Not to mention a really shitty taste in your mouth after drinking. Never drink or drive unless you just really have to do it, in which case, call your local hospital to have an ER standing by on your behalf. Remember, drink responsibly and never, ever, no matter what we tell you, stop drinking Dingleberry wine.
Okay, this is going to be a little bit of a different segment here. Now, I was talking in the opening segment about the stock market fiasco, and I think that needs to be addressed. Now, I don't want to come across as a doomsayer. I don't want to, tell people to prepare for the worst, the worst case scenario and all that. But I started thinking with all this stuff going on this past week, the Asian market collapsing. Of course, China's economy has slowed down, and the rest of the world just kind of went, batshit because the stock markets are tied so intricately with every other stock market in the world. if something happens in China or, say, Greece or something that scares the investors on Wall Street, what's going to happen? Ah! They're going to panic and they're going to start selling off. So I started thinking, what if the stock market kept going downward instead of stabilizing or going back up or whatever? What if the sell off on Wall Street had ushered in another economic collapse for the economy? That's a consideration we all need to be prepared for. You think about it. This government has spent trillions of dollars to prop up the economy. Most of it has gone through Wall Street. They've pumped billions and billions here and there, chunks, and they've put it all in Wall Street and they're pretending like the economy is good. They fudged the unemployment numbers to make everything look good, even though you've got more people that are not participating in the workforce today than ever. The economy right now is akin to that of the 1970s, and that wasn't a very good economy, if you ask me. Now, all this stuff that pumping the money into the Wall Street market and stuff, it's good for the investors and the hedge fund managers. But for the rest of us, unless we have millions of dollars, sitting around doing nothing that we can play with, then we're all pretty well screwed in the end. So here's what you can do, or at least you can consider doing this. I'm not telling anybody to do anything. I'm just suggesting that you think about being prepared. Now, I know Y2K happened and then the 2012 Mayan calendar thing, people went out and panic bought, supplies of water and food and nothing happened. And now people are going to look at me and go, Dwayne, you're not Chicken Little. The sky isn't falling. Maybe it's not. Maybe it won't. But would it really hurt to be prepared just in case it did? So here's some of the things that you should consider doing to prepare just in case. Just in case, okay? If there is an emergency. First of all, you want to keep cash on hand. Now, the reason I say this is simple. What if the banks fail? What let's just say that China's economy keeps going downward and they start selling off on Wall Street and all the other markets around the world. The economy of this country nosedives and there's a run on the banks. Kind of like what happened in 1929. And they didn't think that was going to happen. I mean, the roaring 20s, everybody was making money. We're in the money, we're in the money, that kind of crap. And then Black Tuesday in October of 29, 1929. Not even 100 years ago. Nearly, but not quite. Everything stopped. People were jumping off buildings, killing themselves because they lost everything. People were begging on the street. Crime goes through the roof. I mean, you think about it. Bonnie and Clyde and Pretty Boy Floyd and Al Capone and all these people. Okay? Of course, that was going on in the roaring 20s too, but it really got bad when the Depression hit. So always keep cash on hand. I don't know what you can put together. A couple $100, a couple $1,000. It wouldn't be a bad idea to have that kind of cash on hand. And it doesn't take long to build it up. $20 here, $40 there. Just instead of putting it in the bank, put it in your pocket, take it home, put it in a jar, put it in a coffee can or something. Put it in a lockbox. Hide it. Because if the banks were to fail, there's no ATMs and there's no banks at that point. They're closed. And what money you have is gone. Because guess what? The government is going to confiscate it to do what? Try to prop up the economy. And they do have that plan already in place. It's been done before. Cyprus. And it wasn't that long ago when they did it. And they have a plan in place to do just that, to take your money in case of such an emergency to prop up the economy. And they'll put an IOU in your bank account. That's not going to help you when you're hungry. So when the banks close, you have no access to your money, your credit cards don't work, your ATM cards don't work. You're going to be hard pressed to get groceries or gas or medicine. But you may not have a job at that point, too. You think about how this economy is run, it's all on credit. The farmers have to get credit in order to buy the farms, the equipment, the seed to grow the food. And then when they harvest it, they take it to the sellers. The sellers have to have credit in order to buy that stuff and then sell it in the marketplace to all the different companies. All the different companies have to have credit in order to buy that, to process it, can it, box it, whatever they're doing, to sell it to the stores. The stores have to have credit in order to buy the stuff to put it on the shelves. And then you come in with a credit card and you buy the food. So if the credit cards are gone and the ATM cards are gone, how are you going to buy any of that? Money, cash. But the supply chain is interrupted because of the lack of credit. Truck drivers won't be able to buy fuel or pay their truck payments or put tires on their trucks in order to haul it from one place to the other. The companies won't be able to buy from the farmers because, well, the farmers have the food, but they can't sell it. Nobody's got any money to buy it. Store shelves will be empty because the people can't get credit in order to buy the stuff to process it and then ship it out to the stores. Because this economy works on credit. The whole system would collapse and looting would ensue. Now, you got cash on hand. Here's the next thing. Start stockpiling. A few canned goods here or there, corn, green beans, and peas and baked beans. Maybe some pasta. Maybe those little zap them in the microwaved.
Spit it out, man. Spit it out.
What do you call the damn things? Macaroni and cheese or soup or whatever.
Brain fart.
Powdered milk, water, canned meats like potted meat, Vienna sausages, spam. Spam will last for years. It's got so many preservatives in it. Maybe that's what keeps Keith Richards alive. I don't know. But it's good to have that stuff. And maybe a little extra medicine. Like me, I'm on blood thinners. I'd have to have extra medicine because if not, I could die. What if you're an epileptic? What if you're a hemophiliac? What if you have cancer? What if you have MS or any other problem and you can't get to your medicine? That's a problem. So try to have at least a month's worth, or maybe even more if you can, in reserve. There are other things that you don't even think about, like toilet paper. God forbid the stores close and you run out of toilet paper. What are you going to use? Your hand? Well, you'll probably have to. Back in the old days in the outhouse, they used the Sears catalog. Something else, batteries for flashlights and radios. Because if you can't pay your bills because you have no money, they may cut off your electricity. You're going to have to rely on, if you got a fireplace, for heat and light, unless you got a flashlight or a radio handy where, you can listen to what's going on, because it may be a good idea. And you should be prepared for a long-term emergency. I'm not saying stuff for just a few days, maybe a few weeks, because it may be a hard transition to get the markets back up and get food on the shelves again. Because at some point, the government's going to have to infuse the economy again with more imaginary money, so to keep everything running. But you might have a period of a few days, a few weeks, a couple months that all of it's interrupted. And if you don't have any food, you're going to go hungry. It would also be good to have gas, just in case you have, to get somewhere and you can't find it because the grocery store or the convenience stores and the gas stations are closed because they can't get fuel. So have 3 or 5 gallons, handy, or at least 2 or 3 of those 3 or 5 gallon cans. And if you have a backup generator, it's even better, because then if you run out of electricity, you've got something, the gas in the generator, you can make electricity. Have ammunition just in case. Not just for hunting purposes, but for protection, because people will be robbing other people to get what they have because they're hungry. God forbid you have to shoot someone to protect your life or your property. But the main thing is have a plan of action, an emergency plan in place, just in case. It's not a bad thing to do. I mean, hell, a tornado could come along, you know, a flood, a fire. It's good to have an emergency plan for all that too. If the economy of this country, of this world, collapses, I'm prepared. I have food for 6 weeks. I have enough ammunition just in case. I've got 3 months' supply of medication just in case. See, I think about things like this for the simple fact that it's the worst case scenario, yes, but it's happened before. It can happen again. And the way the world is running right now, the way the country is being run, it won't take much to push the economy into the abyss. And essentially, that toilet paper will come in handy because you're going to be flushing a whole lot of shit when the revolution takes place. Just saying, not that I'm advocating going out here and starting a revolution. Now, if anyone's asking what happened to my little red thing, my little red thing got tore up. And I thought, it's in the way, so it's like, just take it. I'm not going to try to fix it, just take it off. All right, my time's up. I thank you for yours. God knows you endure a lot when you watch this show. But we will see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. So until then, y'all have a great week, and later.